All right. And then perfect. Good, David? Or
Yep.
Dave? Okay, perfect. Welcome, everybody. For those that have joined to Ideas at Dawn, what are we in May already? May's webinar on engaging the sales team to make your proposals win. This month, we are having Dave Seibert here, but let me click on the screen. So hello, welcome and thank you. I am your host, Angie Wolfe. I am the owner, founder, master trainer of Ideas at Dawn. A little bit about my firm before we get started. We help large civil engineering and construction firms bring them a competitive advantage with their proposals so they win more work without adding on more payroll. We provide proposal management services, writing, editing, graphic design support, training, turnkey, one-off, whatever that looks like. So if you're in need of those in our tight market, holler, reach out to me. Today on Friday Eve, we have Dave Seibert here. He's the president of the Seibert Group, author of Proposal Best Practices, and that's his first book right now. Another one soon to come. For those that caught it, he shows businesses how to improve their win rates when responding to RFPs. Today, you're going to learn about ideas and techniques on how to encourage your sales and business development professionals to share more information so you, the marketing proposal team, can produce better, more client-focused content and help meet your revenue goals, which is all of what we want to do. As our staff are lean. And then I have something special at the end. It's a leadership training link that I'm hosting in June. So if you stay to the end, you'll get that. If you have to leave early, you'll get a link to that in your email. We are recording this. You'll get an email plus also a LinkedIn message with the link to the recording. And what else? I think that's it. So Dave, it is all yours to take away.
Great.
Stop sharing and you are set to go.
Okay. See my screen okay there?
No, not yet.
Okay. Do I have to do something?
No, you shouldn't. We had it working earlier.
Yeah.
Did you hit share screen? I'm assuming you did.
Yeah, I did before.
Okay, there it is. Perfect.
Okay.
Yep.
Excellent.
Working now. Thank you.
Okay, great. So, I want to start off by saying, Angie, thank you so much for this opportunity to talk about this subject. This is one of my favorite subjects. It's near and dear to my heart. I've been a salesperson since I graduated school. I was a software salesperson. I had a territory. I had a quota. I did the whole sales thing. And the reason I'm telling you all that is because back when I was a salesperson coming up in that career, in that world, one of the things that was always really important is that when we had an opportunity, we had to qualify it. That's sales jargon, right? To qualify an opportunity. And basically it means that before you put any resources towards an opportunity, you have to make sure that it's a good fit for what you sell. That the person you're talking to is a decision maker, not just a tire kicker. That the problem they're trying to solve is something that can actually be solved by the product you're selling. The point is that we went through that whole qualification process. When I made the transition into the proposal world, I was seeing lots of situations where there were some organizations that were really awesome with their business development and how they go out and they sell before the RFP comes out. And then there's great integration between the salespeople and the proposal team. But there were also some where an RFP comes in the door and the salesperson gets it and then kind of goes past your cubicle and like drops it over the wall and says, "Make us look good," as they go off around the corner, right? And so, a lot of organizations are somewhere in the middle. They're not quite as bad as just dropping an RFP over a cubicle wall, and they're maybe not as great as having a sophisticated, large, integrated business development program. So they're somewhere in the middle. One of my missions in life is to try to help organizations do a better job integrating the proposal team with the sales team and getting the sales team to be more helpful to us as we're trying to write proposals that help them make more sales. And the way I like to say it is like, in a court trial, you have an attorney who's out there who's making their argument, right, for a week or 2 weeks or whatever, and then they do the closing argument. Okay, so if you want to use that analogy, the salesperson is out there for a week or 2 weeks making the sale, and the proposal is the closing argument. Okay, you can't do the closing argument unless you first make your arguments in open court, right? And so you have to have both, but you also have to have continuity of messaging, so that when you do your closing arguments, it works with, it's consistent, it follows the arguments that you made in court. That's the sales effort, and that's the proposal. Okay, so that's really what we're going to talk about today. So I want to start off by maybe we can get like agreement on a few basic things. So my first premise is that proposals that are focused on individual buyers and their unique needs are more effective. So they're focused on a particular buyer, are more effective than proposals that are just filled with stock content and boilerplate answers. I think most people in the proposal industry understand this, agree with this. If it's stock content and boilerplate, you're just talking about yourself. If it's about them, then you're showing them how you're going to solve their problem. Okay, so that's going to be more effective than just boilerplate. The second premise here, premise number 2, is you can't possibly know how to write a customer-focused proposal unless you first understand the buyer and what they want, what they care about, what motivates them. There's no way you can get focused on them and their needs if you are told. But here's the thing, and I've had this discussion with a number of people over the years. The RFP gives us information, right? It gives us like all the specifications, the requirements, everything that they want from the when you submit a proposal, it lists everything that they want, right? But the reality is that the RFP doesn't provide everything that you need to write a really truly customer-focused proposal. Okay. Now I want to delve into this just a little bit further. There's something that I teach all my clients, and that is personal motivations drive organizational objectives. And I'll give you a real simple example. If you're a company that sells automobiles, or that leases automobiles for fleets, so like a sales organization will lease 10 cars or 20 cars or 50 cars for their sales force. Okay, if you read in the RFP, we want cars that are reliable. Okay, woo. You can say, yeah, our cars are reliable, but there's not that much to go on. If the salesperson is out there ahead of time and finds out that, in fact, that the sales manager almost lost a sale because she couldn't get to an appointment because her car wouldn't start. Okay, that's a great backstory. Okay, and this is just a simple example, but my point is, if you understand that backstory, then reliability, you understand how important that is to their organization, but specifically to the sales manager who's going to be making that purchase decision. So you got to understand the personal motivations that drive the organizational objectives, because those personal motivations, they get sanitized into corporate speak when they get put into an RFP. But the more you know about the stuff that comes before, the better you're going to be able to write to them and their needs. Okay. Do you have something, Angie?
I do not, David. No, but no, that is, I mean, that's how all of us buy.
Oh, exactly.
And make decisions. So yeah, although, like you said, although it is corporate speak in an RFP, remembering there's a human on the other side and lots of humans who have lots of personal motivations, whether it's professional or personal, there's lots of reasons why they're making decisions. And
exactly.
it's not just the evaluation criteria. Yeah, it's not just the evaluation criteria, right?
Exactly. Okay, therefore, if the proposal team, if you are going to have any hope of writing a customer-focused proposal, then you have to receive a comprehensive briefing from the people who have been interacting with the buyer before the RFP comes out, before it's ever come out. Okay, that's your right. Okay, is to get that briefing. So the question is, though, how are you going to do that? And the thing is that nobody, and I want to make this clear, because if you want to make this change, I've seen a lot of organizations who recognize that we need to get the two groups working together better. But I've also seen, witnessed very few examples where that actually happens if the proposal team doesn't go out and make it happen. Okay, so if you want to make a change in how your company approaches procurements, how well you integrate with the sales team, it's on you. You have to lead that change because nobody else is. A lot of times the sales managers aren't, the salespeople certainly aren't. It's on you. Okay, so now I wish I could snap my finger and give you a couple easy steps, that or snap my finger and make it work for you. It doesn't work like that. But here's 5 takeaways that we're going to talk about today that's going to make it easier. That's going to give you what you need to start building this rapport, start building this integrated organization between your proposal group and the sales group, or your subject matter expert group and the sales group, however it works out in your company. And so these are the 5 things. We're going to talk about each of these 5 things in specific detail. Each has a slide, but it starts with engaging with the sales manager. The second is you got to tell them what you want. You got to tell them what your expectations are. The third is you got to engage with salespeople and go out there and kind of sell it to the organization. You got to keep some statistics so you can prove the effectiveness of your approach. And then, last, you need to do what you can to help the sales managers to keep them informed when projects are coming their way. So let's go through these one by one. And we'll start with engaging the sales manager. That first bullet point is critical. Nothing happens unless the sales manager is on board. Okay, you got to know that, you got to accept that, you got to embrace that. If the sales manager is not on board with your project, with your efforts to try to integrate the sales group and the proposal group, nothing's going to happen. It's just one of those things you just don't have that support. So the thing is, don't go out and try to sell this to the whole company all at one time. Okay, find a sales manager. If you have more than one, maybe you only have one. Pardon me. Find a sales manager who you think is kind of enlightened, who you think might be willing to work with you, and start with that person. And recognize and understand the third point there. Recognize and understand that if you go to that person and you say, "Hey, I want to help you close more business," that the thing that they're thinking right off the bat is, what's in it for me? Is it really, is it closing more business? Are you really gonna? You have to make a sale. Okay, so you're the salesperson in this scenario. You have to sell to the salesperson and say, yeah, we really are going to help you close more business, but we need your help to do that. Okay, and the way you begin is by asking for a meeting. Okay, so the first thing here, when asking for a meeting, if you go to I don't care who the sales manager is, I don't care what industry, if you go to that person and you say, we want to support the sales team and help you win more RFPs, I don't know a sales manager anywhere who would not say, okay, I'm listening. I mean, they're motivated to close more business. Okay. So if you start with that, if you ask for a meeting and you start with, we want to support your sales team and help you win more RFPs, they're listening. You've got a captive audience. Now get to the point. Everything we just discussed, that we just discussed in the beginning, boilerplate's not effective. Customer focused content is more effective. Okay. Make sure that, you get that out of the way. And then your argument, build your argument. Today, our proposals are seller focused, boilerplate, because we're not getting a lot of information from your salespeople, okay, about the client, about what the client wants. We can make our proposals more client focused, but we need the involvement of your salespeople. We need help to do that. With better insights, with better information, with better background stories from your salespeople, we can help you to win more business and close more deals. Okay. So let's have a meeting to discuss it. And then you can have that meeting and you can sit down and you can explain it to them. You have to get this person on board if you're going to have any chance at having any luck making progress. Okay. So that's the first step is get this person on board. Second, you need to publish your expectations to the sales group about when they bring you an RFP, what do you want from them? Okay. A lot of time, and I've run into this a lot. It's like there are proposal people who were frustrated because salespeople don't provide a lot of great information about the client, about the buyer. But what I found a lot of times is that they don't know what you want. Okay. So we have to make clear that they know what we're asking for when they bring us an RFP. Okay. And now you have to come up with your own list of expectations yourself, but right off the bat, you deserve a comprehensive briefing and interview with the salesperson or the SME or whoever's out there interacting with the customer. When I say briefing and interview, okay, they deserve the right to brief you, but then you deserve the right to ask them questions. Okay. Now there's some organizations, they have forms and you fill out a questionnaire, and that's nice. It's a good start. But if somebody says, well, if a salesperson tells me, if I'm working on a project and a salesperson tells me, well, they want better customer service, I'm like, that's not good enough. I'm not going to let you get away with that. What do you mean by good customer service? Okay. Maybe it's an example that I used earlier. I was talking to somebody. It's maybe their invoicing is awful, and so they get an invoice, and then Donna in the accounting department has to sit there and spend 2 hours every day reconciling the invoice before she can pay it. Because the invoice is just a mess. Okay. That's something as a proposal writer I can work with. If you tell me, if a salesperson tells me they want better customer service, I can't do anything with that. We got great customer service. Ooh, everybody says that. So what? If you tell me we need better, more accurate invoicing, I can work with that. Okay. So the point of the briefing and the interview is that when they tell you something, then you can say, okay, now let me ask you some questions and dive deeper. That's really important. That second bullet point, what are the issues that are motivating the individual buyers? So it's kind of like what we talked about, that example that I shared with you earlier. We want cars that are reliable. Okay. But if you talk to the sales manager, that sales manager almost lost a sale because her car wouldn't start. Okay. That's a big deal. Okay. So I want to know what those issues are. I want to know what those personal issues are, the personal motivations that are driving people to say things like, we want cars that are reliable. Okay. As a proposal writer, that will help me write better, more focused, more personal content that is going to be compelling to them, that's going to resonate with them. Okay. The third thing, what's the solution that we're proposing? pardon me, because sometimes salespeople, they'll get away with, well, we're just selling our service. No, 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 no. No, you're not just selling your service. You've configured it somehow for this particular client. I don't care if you sell the same thing to everybody. You sell office copiers. You sell the same office copier to everybody. But, Albert's corner store, he needs his office copier installed and plugged in, and he needs someone to show him how to change the paper and change the toner and, et cetera. Okay. Well, that may be different than a place down the street where they've got people in there who know how it all works. Point is, you're not selling the same thing to everybody. You're selling a custom solution to people, and they need to tell you what that solution is. Okay. And then strategy, what's our messaging? And messaging is different than the solution. You configure a solution, but what's our messaging? What are the things that we want to stress? Okay, the messages, the hot buttons, the things that are really important. Look, the point is that when they bring you an RFP, okay, you have the right to ask all these questions. And then with that information, then you can turn around and provide them back with an RFP, with a proposal that is a lot more customer focused, a lot more compelling, and that will resonate with them. Okay. Okay. Engaging with individual salespeople. Okay. You got the sales manager on board. Woohoo. You publish your expectations. That's awesome. Okay. Now, just because you've got all that in place doesn't mean the salespeople are going to use your process. Doesn't mean they're going to engage with your process. Now the challenge, you have to keep selling. You go out and you find individual salespeople. And I like to say you find someone who understands, someone who's enlightened, who recognizes that if they help you, you're going to be able to help them. So you go out and you find those people, okay? And you start building momentum. You say, hey, look, we really can help you. You sell to them just in the same way you sold to the sales manager. You're selling to them. If you work with us and give us better information, we can write better proposals for you that are going to help you close more deals. And you're going to find a few salespeople who are like, I'm in. Okay. So work with them. Okay. And build momentum. Those are the people that can help you. Then ultimately, if you look at that last bullet, who can ultimately help you take the story out, take the message out to more salespeople. Okay, so you're trying to build this message within the company that you can help them, and you do it one person at a time. Build that momentum, and then the more people come on board, and then the sales managers see it and they say, "Wow, this is really working well with these other people. Let's expand this." Okay, then you got momentum. Then you're getting more engagement, which is what you want, and that's awesome. Number 4, the number 4 takeaway: keep win statistics. So, and what I mean here is if you're working with some salespeople who have totally jumped on board and they're helping you, they're giving you more good information. You're writing proposals that are more customer focused, that are more compelling. Okay, then track those win rates against some of the others where they like take the RFP and toss it over the cubicle wall and say, make us look good. Okay, so if you compare those with those, I'll tell you which ones are going to win more. And then if you don't want to use these statistics to embarrass anybody. That's not the point. Okay, it's you want to take these statistics and show them to the sales manager and say, hey, look, I just want you to see what's happening. These 5 people have totally jumped on board with this process. And look at our win rate here. We're running 80% of everything we respond to. These people here haven't. They're just giving us RFPs and with no background, no previous selling, no debriefs, nothing. And we're winning 10% of these. Where do you want us to invest our efforts? And there's not a sales manager anywhere that I mean, they're going to get it. We want you to invest your efforts over here where we're winning 80%, 90%. Okay. Last, and I realized this is kind of tough for a lot of AEC companies, construction companies, because they're more project based. I get that. But if you are working in a field where you have recurring contracts, so a contract goes out for 3 years, or maybe it gets extended for a year after that, whatever, but it's for a definite time, and then it goes out to rebid. Track those, and then 18 months or 24 months before that RFP is set to be rebid, make sure you go tell the sales manager, say, hey, this contract here is going to go out to bid in 24 months. You've got 24 months to go out there and build relationships and find out what the buyers care about and find out what they think of their current vendor, et cetera, et cetera. And that way you're helping the sales manager to be more prepared so that they can then help you when you say, I want all this information from you so that I can write a custom customer focused sales proposal. The point of this whole thing, those are the 5 things. Those are the 5 takeaways. And I would encourage you, start small. Don't try to change the whole company at one time. Find a sales manager, or a regional manager, a area manager, whatever. Find somebody who is more enlightened, who you think will work with you, and work with them. Because if you can develop some, I don't want to say case studies. I don't know that you want to write case studies, but maybe you do. If you can find somebody like that who can help you to build some good momentum, then you've got a great story you can tell to other salespeople and other sales managers, who can then help you to get the information you need. And ultimately, your company's going to benefit by closing more sales, closing more opportunities. Just remember, this is, I said this before and I'm repeating it now. If you want to make a change in your procurement department, nobody's going to do it for you. You have to lead the change yourself. And those 5 things will help you work through that process. So that's like I said, I wish I could click my fingers and have something, make it all right. But it's going to take work. It's going to take a lot of work to get to that point. But it's a sales job. You have to go sell to them. So I'm here for questions, comments.
Rita, did Dave cover all of your question? I think you said yes, but otherwise, Dave, you did a great job. No questions so far. So while we're waiting for people to come up with their questions and how they're going to work with their sales and business development people, let me share my screen real quick, Dave. So I'll take it back over. There we go. All right, I'll come back. Someone just put something in the chat, so I'll come back to that real fast, or after I'm done here. So let me talk about, so when I started, I talked about the leadership training that I'm doing in June. So did you know 83% of businesses agree that leadership development's important at every level? As proposal, business development, sales, we tend to be at the lower end of the totem pole when it comes to investments for training and other things. But so 83% agree, yes, it's very important, but only 5% end up implementing something that covers the entire company. So are you part of that 5%? But are you ready to increase your productivity, retention, which is ultra important these days, and then also teamwork, without micromanaging, babysitting, what other word you want to use with your team? If so, sign up. I'm doing a leadership training, a half-day training on June 16th, 8 to noon Mountain Time. There's the link. I also will put it in the chat here in a second. You can also scan the QR code. That'll take you there. You're going to learn how to build trust among your team, learn how to have empathy without being a pushover, which is, if you follow anything on leadership articles, empathy is still a very hot item in the industry right now, or actually in leadership in general. Learn how to create accountability without micromanaging. Learn how to empower your team to become leaders for themselves, and then learn how to communicate proactively and frequently. I guarantee that you're going to walk away with something new, at least one new idea. If not, we will give you your money back, no questions asked. So if you're ready to keep your employees longer, stop being in the hamster wheel of hiring people and going through that process, increase your department's productivity. And similar to what Dave was talking about, start outperforming your competition. Scan the QR code to sign up. There are freebies that we're giving away, both a workbook, ebook on 5 practices to improve leadership while raising up the next generation, a leadership book guide, access to the recording, and then also a 90-minute one-on-one consultation with me as well. So we can help solve those challenges in a confidential environment. If you attend the training but don't want to bring things up, I understand how that works. Sometimes those are sensitive situations. So leadership training, nearly $1,500 in freebies. There's the QR code. Dave, let me go back to the chat. Yes, you're good. Dave, you answered Rita's questions. You're all good there. I will put the link to the training information in the chat as well. And then other questions for Dave about working with salespeople and his 5 steps or 5 steps. What other questions? I'll stop sharing my screen so we can see Dave again. What else?
I'm speechless.
I know you did great, Dave. That's because you covered all the topic in.
Working with salespeople, I mean, I love salespeople. They're the most optimistic group, ever. They think they can close everything that comes their way, and which is wonderful. But I think, sometimes if, you get back to that question of, is it qualified, and, helping them to, to understand that, there's a lot of resources that go into an RFP or a proposal, generating a proposal, a good one, then, you can teach them, you can help them, and ultimately help your company get better.
So Rita wants to know, do you have a script? Like what's your guidance on what to say, how to get them in a room to get that meeting, to even get past step 1 to the questions? Like what guidance do you have for her?
I really think, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
I really think there can't be a script. It's got to be like 2 people working together. And so that's why the thing, the slide that I had where you ask for the initial meeting, and you go into that sales manager and you say, and you start off with that one line, I think, we can help you close more sales. Are you interested? And, yeah, then the conversation starts. And then if you follow the logic that was listed in that slide, which is, boilerplate content doesn't help you to close more sales. It's like sending out marketing. Somebody says, well, we're kind of interested in buying your product, sell us. And then you just give them a whole bunch of marketing brochures. It's you just talking about yourself. So you make that point, and you explain to them, look, if we just talk about ourselves, the customer doesn't care. So it's a whole lot better if we say, Mr. Customer, you said you were really concerned about this. Here's how we solve that problem. And you focus on, and you put it in terms that make sense to them, that are in their terms. using their words, their situation. That's going to be a lot more effective. And I think most sales managers are going to understand that argument. And, and that's how you begin the conversation. So it's not really a script so much as if you explain to them that you understand, here's what the problem is, and we can help you solve this problem. And it's not going to cost you anything, except you're going to have to contribute more to the process. You're going to have to get your salespeople, encourage your salespeople to engage more in the process. And that's the only cost. But look what the upside is. We're gonna help you close more deals. So again, I wish there was a script. I wish I could snap my fingers. But the reality is that it's just you ask the question, you start the conversation, and then you kind of go from there. It's selling. It's good old fashioned selling. And it's just that you're on the selling side. You're selling to the sales
right.
manager.
You'll say you're selling internally.
Yeah, exactly.
To your team on why they need to help you.
And you know what? I've said this for a long time, and I really mean this. Proposal writers are salespeople. The only difference is we sell on paper. And we still have to build arguments. We still have to build persuasive arguments. It's not just about being compliant. You have to convince people why they should buy from you. So I think we already have the skills to sell to the sales manager, to make that case. But it's just kind of an expansion maybe of what we're used to.
Mm-hmm. So Dave, for those of us who are not natural salespeople like you or former salespeople, what tips? Rita's comment was she gets nervous working with salespeople because she's an introvert. What other? I doubt you're an introvert because you were a salesperson, but
no, actually I am.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah. I'm fine when I'm doing presentations and stuff, but you put me in the middle of a room full of people and I'm the guy in the corner. No, I totally get that. And I totally relate to that. I think one of the things that helped me tremendously in my sales career was when somebody explained to me that I think you get in your head that if you're a salesperson, you got to be like, a slick-tongued,
right.
I mean, the talky guy, and you really don't. This person explained to me the best salespeople are consultants. So you hire a consultant to we need to put in this new system. I'm making this up as I go, but so they want you because you're knowledgeable, stuff, and good salespeople are like that. So they want to hire you to help them solve a problem, and so if you've got those solutions, if you've got the knowledge to help them solve a problem, then that's really all you're doing. And you don't have to, there's no hard sell thing. I remember one time I was talking to my sister-in-law. She was an emergency room nurse at a children's hospital. And I'm like, oh my God, how can you do that? And because the very thought of like taking care of, kids, sick and hurt kids and stuff, that would tear me up. And she's like, well, how can you be a salesperson? And it's just like different perspectives. But when I realized that selling really was just about solving problems for people, and helping them solve, using the knowledge and the experience and stuff I've learned to help people solve problems, then it was less me, like I wasn't trying to push myself on somebody. I was just like being a resource. Mm-hmm. And I think that helped me when I was dealing with that same issue.
Right. Yeah. It's a mindset reframe.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You're exactly. Just approaching it as, or even it's, right? We're both trying to solve the same solution. And whether, Rita, it's getting to know that person outside of the office, so you have something in common and something to talk about besides the proposal or besides sales and work. That's another way to lower those walls and potential boundaries and whatever that looks like, to develop a relationship there.
The other thing that I think I figured out with selling is that I think people who don't like to sell, or who are scared about selling or worried about selling, or it makes them anxious. They're worried about like sounding bossy or sounding like know-it-alls, or do it my way, and I think a lot of times if you listen to what somebody's saying, and then you just ask the right question, they can kind of sort of solve their own problem. If you ask the right question, that will help them get to the right answer. So, and then that makes you feel less bossy, but at the same time, you're getting the same thing done. So like if you're talking to that sales manager, for example, and okay, I'm shooting from the hip here, but right now your win rate is 15%. What would you like it to be? And I'm just pulling that out of thin air, but ask questions, and that's a great way to start the conversation too, without being pushy or bossy or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Okay. What other questions for Dave? There's a few of you still left. Any good ones? Any hard questions for Dave?
No, easy questions for Dave.
Say, try and stump him on Friday Eve. Any questions about his upcoming book that you might have? He also has some training coming out.
Okay. Well, you know what? If anybody, Angie, if anybody has any questions, they can reach out to you, and you can share it with me, and I'd be happy to get back to them.
Yeah.
And I would just encourage people to take those five points, and kind of take them home and kind of make them yours, and at your own pace. Mm-hmm. And this is not something that's going to happen overnight. This is something that takes time to engender within your organization. I mean, one of the most difficult things in the world is changing internal processes, internal ways of doing things. So I think it's going to take time. It's going to take, it's not persistence or persuasion. It's persistence and persuasion. Just some gentle pushing along with persuasion. So
cool. Dave, you want to talk about your new book that's coming out next year? Is it next year?
Well, that's still in the works. It's thank you for bringing that up. It's the Sales Manager's Guide to RFPs and Proposals, and it's really for sales managers who have experience in the sales business, but who don't necessarily know how to work in the formal procurement process. I've worked with a lot of organizations who they'll just get an RFP in the door, and they'll say, "Hey, an RFP, let's respond. We've got a chance," and then they lose. I've worked with some organizations that just say, we don't even go out and talk to people before the RFP because they don't want to talk to us. I'm like, I've worked with one organization that fired all their salespeople because they figured we can just respond to RFPs, and then that's all we need. None of them did well, but I think there are a lot of them out there who are more balanced, and I think they just struggle because they don't know exactly how to build an infrastructure that works well in this kind of environment. And so that's what this book is for, is to go out to the salespeople, the sales managers who are experienced, who are knowledgeable. They just need to understand how to make it work in the world of formal procurements. So thanks for asking.
Yeah. Rita wants to pre-order it, and Mr. David Neely wants to review it. So you got some interest already there, Dave. So no pressure.
David Neely has been great to me. He reviewed my last book, and he gave me some really fabulous advice that allowed me to cut a lot of stuff out that made it a lot less boring for people reading it. Thank you, David.
Cool. All right. Thank you, Sally. All right. Any other questions before we call it a wrap? Dave, Chris has questions. Share an example or instance when you were struggling to connect with the sales rep or team and how you overcame that. You wanted to get some buy-in.
Well, I think one of the problems there's one situation in particular where the salesperson and who reported to the sales manager in this and they were both of the same opinion that proposals don't matter, and that it was, you know, if they go out and they make the sale ahead of time, then that's all that needs to happen, and then they can just put together a proposal, and it didn't matter if it was good or bad. That, you know, and tough part is sometimes they were right, sometimes they won. But you know, this guy was particularly close-minded, and they lost some deals because of it, because the proposals, he does a great job going out there ahead of time, making sales, but he was doing an awful job communicating, you know, what should be in the proposal, what the message should be in the proposal. He viewed RFPs just like questionnaires, just fill in the blanks and let's move on, which is not what they're supposed to be. And so that took a lot of work, and we were only partially successful. But one of the things we did, that's where I came up with that analogy about in open court, you build your argument, you lay out all the evidence, and then the closing argument is a proposal. So there's got to be, and I used that term, and I said it in that one meeting. I think I said it probably 25 times: continuity of messaging. And he finally started laughing. He said, "Stop saying that." But it was just, I think as much as anything, it was just a process. And you know, he started working with us more because he started seeing some logic in what we were saying, and he started getting some wins when he helped us. It was, you know, it's still kind of iffy. So sometimes it's just a you know, question of, you know, before what I said, persuasion and persistence. It's not one or the other, it's both. And just, you know, being subtle and persistent, while at the same time being persuasive. You know, but with that guy, I mean, we just tried to hone in on that one message, and we said it over and over and over again: continuity of messaging, and that kind of resonated, and over time it helped. I don't know. I wish I had another better example. That's
Persistence and continuity.
Persistence and persuasion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you keep saying the same message, and you know, but you can't force feed this on anybody. You can't. So you have to, like, do that persuasive message, but then you have to be subtly persistent. So
you're welcome, Chris. Any other questions? Okay. We will get the recording sent out. One thing I forgot to mention in the beginning, for those that are still on, we are doing CEU credits now. So if you need us to fill out any paperwork for your certification, CEU credits, send that my way, and we'll get my operations manager on that. Recording will go out this afternoon. If you have any questions for Dave, we'll include, Dave, do you want to include your email in the email that we send out, or a follow-up email? Do you care?
yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll include Dave's email in there so you can reach out to him. So then you can also get on check his website out so you can get on his pre-order list for the upcoming book. And if you want it sooner, you'll know how to communicate with him to be persistent and persuade him to do it faster. Right?
Okay. Yep.
We'll try and persuade the former sales guy to write faster.
Okay. And I'll have to persuade David Neely to review it faster. So there.
Oh, I'm sure that'll be easy to get David Neely doing that. In summertime.
Exactly.
Read it outside. Okay.
Well, thank you for the opportunity.
Yes.
I really appreciate it. I enjoy talking about this, and I'm happy to follow up with anybody who has more specific questions. So.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you all. See you next month in June. We're going to be the leadership training in mid-June, and then the week after will be the free webinar. We're still trying to coordinate what that'll be. We have a few options, but yeah, those will be, so look for those details coming up here in probably 3 weeks or so. Oh, the other thing, before I forget, those that are either new to the webinars or have attended, we're going to be sending out a survey to see what other topics you want to hear about, get your feedback. So look for that as well. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all. Happy Friday Eve. Dave, they're giving you some love. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Stay cool, stay warm wherever you at.
Thanks.
Yeah, and enjoy the upcoming holiday here soon.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Bye, guys.